Can I just ask a more general version of the same question, though, which is you mentioned that one of the key evaluations used when the editors are deciding whether to include a journal is looking at what the impact factor will be, effectively looking at the citation rate, working out an impact factor.
If it's existed,
in a scenario where a journal has been around for 3 years. And what is a kind of curiosity is that if you look at the spectrum of impact factors in different categories of the JCR, they cover a certain range. And often, a decision will be made to not accept a journal because it doesn't appear to be cited in quotes enough, even though it's cited, you know, at a percentile well above a large fraction of the existing category. It seems like the barrier to get in is a lot higher than the barrier to stay in. Almost nothing ever gets removed, even if it has a very, very low impact factor. And yet, on the other hand, you have to get a... I mean, we had journals like the MT Biology, the MT Medicine. They had effective impact factors of 3, 4, 5. And it still was a multi-year process before they were accepted. And the reasons given were to say, well, we already have quite a lot of general biological or general medical titles, and those tend to have very high impact factors. But to actually be excluding a journal which has an impact factor as high as 3 or 4 seems a curious thing to do when there are many journals with, you know, 0.5.
Very, very good points. I can't dispute those points. I've been around, as I said, for 30 years, and I've seen changes in editorial policy over those 30 years, which you know are vast improvements in what we've done over the years. I would say that we should have, and I don't know if you have had a meeting with Marion Hollingsworth.
You have met with Marion?
Yeah, okay. I would say that that's the discussion we should have, because you know, and that's that. You know, I know that our editorial development group, which is comprised of Marion's group and another group, they're much more receptive to discussion of things, and indeed, things do get dropped. You know, every because I get a list of what's added and deleted to the database every week, and things do get dropped from the database due to lack of citations. But that probably isn't done. You know, that's probably annually that look at citations.
And
because
I don't really over negative.
No, I know.
There have been some positive changes. The one you mentioned, which is that when our journals are accepted, go back 5 years, and nearly always they'd be monitored for the first, say, 5 volumes, and then accepted starting from, say, volume 6, and it would be another 3 or 4 years before they got an impact factor. Now, the fact that now routinely, when a journal's accepted,
every time
the back data is incorporated, that's a step forward.
Yeah, every time.
Obviously, one of the major differences with Scopus is that, this is my feeling, is that as soon as they go in the PubMed, then they will be tracked. So that is the major difference. Because if you are tracking as soon as the PubMed is accepting with their own rules, because we are talking about before the metrics, there is the problem of acceptance for the tracking. And this is, I think, is a major problem. Because otherwise people will not publish on journals without tracking, because their age index is different. So if I publish on a journal without impact factor, but with a lot of citations, the age index will not be improved in any case. So I think that is a major issue, that Thomson cannot decide which journal can be tracked, because also if the value is 0.0001, it doesn't matter as long as it's tracked. Because if one article, like a Southern publishing the Southern Blot, that citation will be incredibly high, independently from the type of journal. So I think that to be fair, once the journal has been accepted in PubMed, which already has their own strict rules to be cited in PubMed, then journals should be tracked. In our case, for instance, our journal, using the Scopus matrix, is already a 2 impact factor value. Instead, in Thomson, we don't see anything because obviously it's not tracking. So the tracking issue is a major problem. Each journal should be tracked, then you can put the value 0.000, doesn't matter, but must be tracked. because otherwise we are not able to attract people to write on the journals. This is a major problem.
Another advantage of open access beyond immediacy in publications is visibility.
Yeah.
And we can count the hits and we can estimate the number of people interested in our publications. Do you consider these data, because we have no subscriber base, as you mentioned, as further part of the puzzle, and why do maybe you don't consider it? Why not?
We look at it. We look at we look at citation. You know, if we're not covering something and we're looking at that publication and happens to be open access, we look at the number of citations, or you know, in addition to looking at the material and who's publishing in it and the diversity of those people publishing in it. But we look at the immediacy index as well. You know, that's certainly a factor.
One other thing we do quite frequently here is either a complaint that there are too many publications from editorial board members in the journal, or too few publications from editorial board members in the journal, and we're not quite sure why that, independent of the quality of the research, should be held against the journal.
So adding to that, we look for the leaders in the community, the best people to be on our editorial boards, and
we're very
getting their papers is a major coup. And then when we're told there are too many papers from them, we're thinking this is an odd type of response when we've got papers from the leaders in the field into our new journal, which doesn't have tracking. So.
Any further questions? Yeah? In which case, thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Very
much.
much.
Yeah.